Welcome to Let's Learn Surviving Mars. All right, welcome to another Surviving Mars Quick Start Guide. This is Attican, and this time we're going to look at the Paradox Interactive sponsor, and we're going to use the Astrogeologist as our commander profile. We contemplated doing Futurist again, but we just did that one. So we're going to do the Astrogeologist because he's going to reveal a rare metal for us, which we're going to need to get some money coming in. And big thing he does, frankly, is he allows deep scanning. So when you do your initial scanning with the Astrogeologist, you are actually deep scanning, which shows all those deep mines, and it will tend to bring out more anomalies and speed up your research. So lovely thing. So we're going to go with them. The Paradox is kind of underfunded, poor research, only one rocket, and their rockets take a lot of fuel. They need 100 fuel to load up versus the 60 that other sponsors have for their load. So that's huge. So we're going to use the tactic we've used before and have our 2 moisture evaporators and our 2 fuel refineries so that we can produce fuel quickly and turn that rocket around, because we don't want to be sitting there for days and days and days while our maintenance on all the things we've built continues to go on, yet we can't seem to get a rocket off the ground. So we're going to load up on drones and have 2 refineries and 2 evaporators. So I'm looking around for just a random site. I was very tempted to use the exact same site again, but I think people might get sick of it. And frankly, I'm getting sick of it. So I wanted to go find something that would be challenging and maybe a little harder than what we've been doing. So this one looks pretty good. Lots of cold waves, plenty of dust storms, just like the last place we did. A little mediocre with all the resources, nothing great. Pretty good concrete, otherwise very mediocre. So we're going to go with that one.
Welcome
and we'll
to
do
Mars.
The same start we usually do. We will pause. We'll queue up our scanning. At least I hope we do. And really taking a look to see what we've got. Now this is a nice, we've already gotten a great one, because there's a high rare metals, beautiful, right next to metals, decent concrete, and there's some water is not great, but it's pretty good. So we're kind of looking to see where we would probably put a dome. Right off the bat, we can see we want to grab that, put it in a location where we can grab the rare metals, and if need be, the metals. We wouldn't do metal extraction early because there'll be plenty of surface metals for us to pick up, we would hope. But we do want to place that thing strategically so we can tie it in with our initial refueling station, have it in a convenient location, and pick up both those deposits there, the rare metals and the metals, especially, of course, the rare metals. So we'll kind of use our usual process here. Knowing where we're going to build, we'll kind of set up our concrete extraction, and we'll face it in the direction it's showing here, because we'll want to build out of the back of it and build kind of up to the top there above where our dome is going to go. And it's nice when you can kind of pick a dome site right off the bat, and that's one of the advantages of the Astrogeologist. He shows you rare metals right off the bat, and assuming it's a good one, and this one is, then you're kind of good to go. You've got a really good spot for your first dome, assuming it just doesn't end up in some really weird location that just doesn't work. And in this case, we're good. This should be a very good starting location. So we'll do our standard setup for refueling. We'll put down our universal depot and metals and concrete. We're going to make sure we build our scanning tower right away. and we're going to set up, first thing first, our large solar panels so that we can get the power going and get that concrete going, which will then help us build wind turbines. We're going to use, again, a mixture of solar panels and wind turbines. And that 5 and 5 plus a power accumulator should serve us well for quite a while until that dome is just about done and we have greater power needs. And I just went ahead, just kind of X marks the spot. I ran the dome is turned off, so we won't be building it yet, but I've just got it there marking the location. And I'm trying to get an idea of how this is going to lay out so I can think ahead about where I'm going to put that second moisture evaporator. Actually is really what I'm thinking about here, because the first fuel will want as close to the rocket as we can get, and that looks like it's going to be a great place for it to come down pretty much all the time. So that's going to be the landing area for our rocket. And I actually goofed up there. I thought I was on pause. It's been running on normal speed. So now there we go. Now I get my act together and set up my scanning. And hopefully I'll also think about the research and get that queued up. And this one we just really, wow, amen. We get the Explorer and the the Earth-Mars initiative back to back there, so we can get the 100 for the Explorer and the 100 for our sponsor back to back on our research. So that's awesome. So you can see here we're doing this with zero. We don't have a transporter, we don't have an Explorer, we don't have a rover, but we wanted to make sure we had 2 fuel refineries and 2 moisture evaporators so that we could get off to a kick start. We didn't know for sure. We didn't know we were going to get so lucky and have that water right off the bat, or we would have, wouldn't have had to have those moisture evaporators necessarily. But there's still, I still think we would want them, because that water, particularly being a very low, has very useful. Great that we have it, but it's not going to solve all our problems for us. All right, so that's a pretty good setup. So we should be able to get our cable run quickly, our pipes, and then as soon as we get that concrete made, we'll put it on a higher priority, so any power that's generated will go to it first, and then it'll make the concrete, and that'll feed our wind turbines, and we will be rocking and rolling. So we've kind of got this down, I think, pretty much. And one good thing too here, make sure we don't forget it, and also because since we know, we're kind of starting out with a good plan. I mean, we already know where our dome is going. I just can't imagine a scenario that would tell us, no, we want to move that dome somewhere else. So we can go ahead and put down our drone hub and make sure we've got that going, get the 2 extra drones from it, and have more drones out there working. We brought a bunch with us, so we're going to end up with a lot of drones working, so they should move quickly. And they need to, because we don't have any transporter to help them, like to go out and find more metal for us. So we just had enough metal there to get us going, really. And that's what we've done, is kind of start this thing out. And now our scanning will take over and hopefully find us maybe some close by metals or whatever. But the main thing is just get that going in preparation for our next rocket. And with the Paradox Interactive, I personally would strongly recommend using this 2 fuel refinery approach, and get that rocket loaded and back on its way as quickly as possible. So now we're kind of finishing off those deposits. We're going to have
Sector
our fuel
scanned.
out separate, and we're going to have a rare metals out there close. And we're putting them in those spots because we want to be able to quickly load the rocket each time it comes back, because I'm anticipating when we get into after we get past this first mode, and we won't see it in so much in the quick start guide, but because we're going to have that raw materials going, we're going to want to load that rocket quickly with fuel, but quickly
Pipe
with
leak reported.
raw materials, raw metals, so we can make money on them, because that's what's going to fund our operations for a while when we're kind of go into the post-baby mode. But right now, it's all about, of course, making a baby. We want a quick start. We want a solid, fundamentally sound build that is quick and gets us to approval. In other words, having a baby as quickly as possible. So that's what we're working toward. So right now there isn't really anything to say or do. I mean, I'm literally just watching this. As I'm playing this, I'm watching it just as we're doing right now. And the only thing I'm doing,
Sector
of course, is being kind of like Pavlov's dog. Every time it says sector scanned, I jump up and queue up another one to scan to make sure I don't get caught with no scanning going on. And if we ever happen to finish a research, which we won't at 100 research points, it'll be a while. We'll need our Explorer to make that happen. And you also notice there, see that number 8? That's where I'm going back. Remember, we have deep scanning. Well, we start with that one sector scan, but with your astrogeologist, your home base, your home sector really hasn't been deep scanned. It's the only one that hadn't. So I added it to the queue so that it would get deep scanned as well, just
Sector
in case there's some
scanned.
other rather excellent thing around us. And by the way, that could be a way that might make us want to move that dome. If we deep scanned it and found some great deposit that happened to be underneath the dome, we would really strongly think about moving that dome somewhere else. So I'm going to fast forward it because, again, we're literally just watching it load at this point. So let's move forward just a little bit till something more interesting comes along.
Stone
All right, we
achieved.
moved forward 3 days, and we've just lifted off our rocket early on day 7, very early in the morning on day 7, which is, I think, is pretty good considering we had to put 100 fuel in there. So very happy with getting that rocket headed back toward Earth early in day 7. So now, and the other thing that's happened, our scanning actually picked up some metal for us out there that's within our drone hub's reach. So now we're picking up some more metal over there to the left. We'll call it the west, just near that water over there, just past the water. We've picked up some, and it's within our, you can see there, it's within our drone hub's reach. So we'll be
Sector
bringing
scanned.
that into
Anomaly found.
our reserves to give us more metal. And of course, we're going to take care of this pulling metal in and grabbing stuff off the Earth problem with our next rocket, naturally. So as that thing's flying back, we've started building the dome. Why not? So we might as well get a good start on it and get as far as we can get with it while the rocket is going back to Earth and getting us some more supplies and heading back. So this will go on for a while. We'll take the dome as far as we can take it with the supplies that we have. We're not worried about, the maintenance, like if we had a power outage or something right now. Actually, it wouldn't even, you don't want it to happen, but it wouldn't even do a whole lot to you because we don't have any people here that we're going to kill off. And the worst that would happen is we would just kind of stop and sit there for a while until the rocket came back. But that's not going to happen. We're in good shape here. Our maintenance is actually in good shape. So now we're getting prepared for the dome in terms of the overall water and making sure that we have water running to the dome itself. And we're going to add in that water that we were fortunate enough to have, and we're going to set up a water extractor and our line over to that and just go ahead and tie that directly into our grid. This is not an overly large grid at all, so we shouldn't have exorbitant number of line faults or pipe leaks or anything like that. This is a perfectly fine sized grid. We're lucky that water's quite close to us. So that water and the 2 moisture evaporators should serve us well. We put down a water tank early so we can get it filled up in case of a problem, and we should be good to go. So now we're going to load up with an Explorer and a transport. Very important that we have both of them. We'd love to have a rover too, but we need to take some other supplies back. And I think, do I not? Let's see what's going on here. What am I thinking? Yeah, I thought so. I ended up buying the machine parts factory, I think. Do I not? I'm really contemplating, I know, comparing looking at the prices. Yeah, I thought so. So buying that, not so much to use it now, but to have it ready so that, we've got funds right now and we know we're going to have that. It takes a long time to research your way over typically to the machine parts factory. It's hard to get that research done quickly enough unless you're using a really research-centric approach, which we are not here. So, we're going to get some decent research from our Explorer when he gets onto Mars, because our scanning is the deep scanning. We're seeing a fair amount of anomalies, but nothing like a more research-centric focus like, even using the Futurists, of course, is a more research-focused, or the particularly Europe using the Futurists. That would be an example of what I would think of as a research-focused early start. This one is not. This one's just a kind of pretty basic, making sure you've got rare metals so you have an income, and making sure you have a good solid build with power, etc., so you can handle the dust storms and cold waves and whatever, and have a nice safe place for your folks to frankly
Sector
to go
scanned.
breed.
Anomaly
We'll
found.
try to make this dome for a while into a rabbit hutch. That's our goal. And you'll
Resources
see
are
I'm going
low.
to do something on this one that haven't done in any of the others that I think puts it over the top and really helps us. And you'll see that coming up. All right, so our rocket is landing. You'll notice it's about midday in day 9, so that's a good thing to know that we took off early morning, day 7. It's midday, day 9, so you got about a 2.5 day turnaround if you're prompt with these things, and you make sure that you're
Dust
keep an
storm
eye on your
approaching.
rocket and turning it around quickly on both ends, on Mars and back on Earth. So now we've got our Explorer out there, and I went straight for a beaker, which you don't typically do. You typically want to go get those
Milestone
magnifying glass.
achieved. We have an
ones,
oxygen
because
shortage.
I think I called them hourglass looking in one of the videos, but they look like a magnifying glass. And you want those first so you have good choices, but we already have good choices. We were blessed with the Explorer AI is going to get his 100, and the next one after that is going to be the sponsor 100. So we're going to get a couple hundred more research points here very quickly from our early anomalies. That's why we went straight for that beaker to get us research points. And we've got our transporter out there doing his thing, picking up ground metals and any polymers that happen to be around, double checking the research to make sure I've got that right, and I do. And now we're going to get ready to build out the inside of the dome and put in the living quarters. And here you'll see what I'm talking about is something a little bit different. I realize that, if your goal is to have a baby, don't build your dome like you're trying to make everybody go to work. Build your dome like you're trying to make everybody comfortable and happy. And so we're going to actually do a little different something. We're going to put in grocer, diner, and infirmary, and staff all 3 of them, so that
Research
person can
complete.
get, now
Anomaly
the diner
analyzed.
and the grocer
Pipe
are
leak
redundant
reported.
on food,
Sector
but
scanned.
the grocer gives you shopping satisfaction, and the diner gives you social and dining satisfaction. So you get dining, social, shopping, and food out of those 2, and then of course you get your health checks out of your infirmary. So now you've got the opportunity for people to stay happy all the time. And plus, because we're putting them in living quarters and not
We
an
have a
apartment,
power shortage.
the living quarters are a 60 comfort level, and you regain sanity, you rest much better in the living quarters than you would in an apartment. So by having the combination of living quarters and in full and 3 shifts running of diner, grocer, and infirmary, our folks should be very happy, and you'll see the result. It's quite gratifying, actually. So now we're starting to build up a little more power because we're starting to add power demand into our grid as we build out our dome and fill it up with stuff, and that stuff needs power. So we'll just keep doing our build and building, and we're still using kind of for now, equal parts of wind turbines and solar panels. And my thinking there is I'm going to use the equal ones. Obviously, we want some wind turbines to run at night so that we don't have to rely on too many power accumulators to have power to run at night because the solar
Cable
panels
fault
shut
reported.
down. One thing. Two, don't want too many wind turbines because of the maintenance costs on machine parts early on is quite expensive. Later on, if we that machine parts factory
Sector
bought and
scanned.
we're ready to actually use it, then it won't be so bad and we can go to more turbines. The other thing is you want to watch your research tree and see if you get any
Breakthrough discovered.
breakthroughs
We
or
have an
what research you
oxygen
might do that
shortage.
would make one or the other between solar panels and wind turbines more attractive going down the road. So this way we're kind of staying neutral until we figure that out. We do have a potential breakthrough here, and it's a really good one. And in fact, I overreacted to this one, frankly. It's a good one because it means your service bots, you can go in and set up like for the grocer and the diner. And you can set them up so that they don't have any staff at all. No human beings have to be there to run them, and yet they operate at a 100 level. So it's like they're perfectly staffed. But you do it with robots, with bots. But there's a
Vehicle
gotcha,
battery
and
low.
I kind of forgot that at this point. You research that breakthrough, but then when you get ready to,
Research
like, say,
complete.
let's say you're going to
Anomaly
take your diner and make
analyzed.
it run with bots. Now you've got to pay a whole bunch of electronics to get those bots in there. You have to basically create the bots that are going to run the diner. Now, once you got that done, it's awesome. But this part of the game, we certainly don't need to be spending large quantities of anything, and particularly electronics, which are very expensive to go out and buy on Earth. And we're a long ways from having an electronics factory. That's going to be well down the road. So it was awesome. I really liked the tech overall, but I got excited for nothing. I mean, because you really don't want to use it yet. But you do still notice what we're going to do here. We're going to have 3 shifts of the infirmary with a person in each shift. We're going to have 3 shifts of the grocer with a person in each shift. And we're going to have 3 shifts of the diner with a person in each shift. So that's 9 of our 12 people. The other 3 we can put out there in a rare metals extractor and let them do their thing and make us a little bit of money on the rare metals. But right now, again, our focus is getting that approval, getting that baby. And then once we do that, then we can decide which direction we want to go with the rest of our build to go ahead and set us up to be self-sufficient. So focus now, we're being very, very task focused, very, very focused on our objective, which is make a baby. So we're continuing to do our research, our analyzing the anomalies with our Explorer. Our transporters continuing to go out and pick up surface metals and
Sector
whatever's out there that
scanned.
we can
Anomaly
find. We're
found.
continuing our deep scanning. And what's great again, this Astrogeologist, we're actually deep scanning, so you're actually seeing more anomalies than you would see typically in a regular scan. And we're also starting to see, you can see those kind of that deep red color over there just underneath the RC Explorer info panel is actually a
Anomaly
deep
analyzed.
deposit of metals. Now, we don't have the technology yet to be able to extract the deep metals. As we continue the game, we can develop that if we want to and research it. But it's nice to know where all that stuff is. It helps you plan out. So one of the things that's beautiful about having the astrogeologist, you're getting the deep scans, so you know what the whole road map looks like. When you're finished scanning, when we finish this whole valley that we're down in, finish scanning it, we will have deep scanned the whole thing, and that way we'll know our whole future basically in terms of how we
Get
want to
up
build
close
it
and
down there,
personal
then
with
we can start
Mars.
looking up at the top. So we're just going to continue to drive our research. We just found a nice big very high rare metals if we need it for the future. But for right now, we're very, very happy with our high metal, rare metals deposit up here in our first dome. So our rocket is on its way back to Earth to get us some people. We're on day 12. Now we're going to set up our rare metals extractor. And what I like to do with those, the people don't necessarily walk out there to that thing. They just sort of start working. It's just sort of like blink, there they are. So I like to put it out as far away from the dome as I can get it for two reasons. One, cut down on the dust that's hitting the dome to hopefully slow down
Sector
the
scanned.
maintenance on
Anomaly
the dome.
found.
And two, leaving room in case I want to. Put another one in there in case I want to have two rare metal extractors and double down on that deposit. You can have as many as
Resources
8.
are low.
We could circle that thing and have one in the middle and have a whole bunch, 6 or 8 if we wanted to. I just put it out again far away because it doesn't seem to hurt the production at all, and it just defines how far out I can go. It'd also be when we get to the point where we have a ground heater, what we'll really do is run a ground heater in there, kind of in the centrally located, probably near that deposit itself. And then our water tower, we have a water tower. Actually, I put it in a bad place. I would put a water tower over there where the ground heater is, the subsurface heater, eventually. Maybe you noticed that while I was talking about the subsurface heater and the water towers and all that, I was checking the maintenance levels on some of those wind turbines, and I noticed that they're quite low. So I'm going to go ahead and build the machine parts factory and have it ready in case we need to set up some emergency machine parts generation. It's the only thing we seem to be tight on right now, and that's why we still have confidence that we can bring people with our next rocket. But we are setting it up, and now I've turned it off. I've turned off the machine parts, and I'm setting this up to run 3 people in the rare metals, and then I decided
The rover manipulators held the silver-white
machine parts, and we need to make sure that we don't have a problem with our wind turbines. Machine parts early in a typical build are the key advanced thing you need. You need them all, of course, but machine parts are crucial because wind turbines take that, and they tend to take a beating and need a fair amount of maintenance. So it tends to be kind of your number one advanced metal part. The reality is you're using more metals and concrete on your maintenance. However, since you're getting those, you've got your concrete being extracted and you're getting a lot of ground metal, you don't really notice it, but you really are. So now we're back here picking our people, and we go with sexy as our first thing. The 3 big ones, genius, saint, and celebrity, we want those, so we highlight those. But then we just go out and say, okay, we want some geologists, we want medics. And so I'm going to go out and pick some geologists and medics and whatever looks good, and I'm really leaning toward sexy. I mean, that really is the number one thing we're looking for. I wish they could give that a different name, but anyway, we know what it means. So, all right. So we're picking out our people. Again, I don't agonize over this too much. Those filters do a pretty good job. As far as the faults go, my personal experience, I'm not fond of gluttons because food is, kind of can be really tight at the beginning. You'll see it gets tight on us here, very much so. But the filters do a pretty good job, and just like, for example, lazy. Lazy sounds awful, but I'd much rather have a lazy geologist in an extractor than a workaholic scientist in that extractor. I mean, so I'd much rather have the match of the specialty, even if the person is lazy. So the flaws, except for idiot. Idiot is just a killer because he can break your factories and just do all kinds of ridiculous things. Idiots are awful and cowards aren't great, and but the if you just go with the default flaw filters, I'm pretty happy with that. I also don't worry too much. This one thing I probably critique myself.
Sector
I probably
scan.
should go back on the age and kind of say we're not.
Cable fault reported.
We definitely want to emphasize youth, and and of course we don't want seniors to start with, and we probably could think about filtering out the middle age so that we don't have them turning into seniors so quickly. And there you see I did decide that we need some machine parts worse than we need rare metals right this minute. So I kind of flipped it around, turned off the rare metals extractor and
Resources
turned on
are low.
the
Vehicle battery low.
machine parts for a bit, so that when our folks land, we can make some machine parts and make sure we don't get caught short with the machine parts and have our wind
Breakthrough
turbines
discovered.
and other things start to fail on us. The machine parts also maintain your extractors, so like that water, for example, which is quite important. We don't need that breaking down on us, so we need some machine parts.
Research complete. Milestone achieved.
So our rocket's on the way here. And I'm just double checking I've got all these jobs set up correctly. What was I doing here? I'm thinking, I was trying to figure out, I'd forgotten how that worked. I was trying to figure out that whole thing. Remember the robotics thing where you don't need people to run your services? I was trying to think, well, if I turned it off, it would start running without any people. But I forgot about up on the upper right of that, there's a button you have to push, the little, looks like a robot. And when you push it, then it's going to tell you, hey, you need to put 10 electronics in here to make this thing run without people. And that's expensive this early. So that's where I was talking about, guy got a little overexcited by this whole robotics deal. I'm even going back and rereading what it says about it, trying to figure out what's going on here. Why don't I have this? And that's true of a lot of your breakthroughs. A breakthrough will give you the ability to do something, but you still have to pay for it. So to make this guy run on his own, I'm still trying to figure it out. And you can see it's giving me the no people thing, so I know something's wrong. I'll get it, but I'm being a little bit stupid right here. And then the other thing is, I realize, we didn't bring any food. A lot of times I'll bring food out in advance. We didn't bring any food. They're going to bring 12 with them on the rocket, and that's going to be it. So I go in and put up a hydroponics farm and decide, you know what, that's going to be the other place people need to work as well, is the hydroponics. So we're going to have to scramble a little bit. I got a little out of control here. A little bit, not bad.
Full of hope.
So we're going to have to move people around a little bit to just fill our needs on an as-needed basis until we get it going. So it's day 14, and we've landed people. And I'm going to finally, come on, Danny, turn this on. You can do it. You can do it. Aha, there it is. Okay. All right. Yay. All right. Wised up. There I see it's going to cost me a whole bunch of electronics I don't have, so I wised up and turned it back on to human beings, and now those people can go to work there. And I had to go back, since I flipped them back around, I had to go back and make it only be one shift on the rare metals so that the folks can go back in and work on these other jobs. But because I've got that hydroponics that I hadn't accounted for, shame on me, I'm a little short on people. I had it all planned out, and then you fail to consider one thing. You try to throw extra jobs in here, and it just doesn't work. But it will work just fine. It's just that we're just going to have to scramble things. So now I'm saying, okay, all right, I'm going to have to shut down the machine parts and the rare metals so that the three people that I keep bouncing back and forth can work as in the hydroponics. So suboptimal here, to put it mildly, because I didn't bring any botanists. I should have, but I just honestly forgot food. How stupid is that? But it's all good. It's all good. So we've got, we really have it staffed perfectly in terms of numbers. And you see how quickly that rocket that needs 100 fuel turned around? That's pretty nice. That's the advantage of having those two
Cable fault
fuel
reported.
refineries doing their thing. And we've got three folks working in our hydroponics because we made it high priority to make sure we've got somebody working on it, because we know we've kind of goofed up here and food's going to be tight. But
Sector scanned. Anomaly found.
so we're thinking now that that rocket is certainly going to be coming back with some food. That's going to be its job, to bring us back some food and whatever else you can afford that we really, really need. And here I do a little dance. I was smart enough this time to actually see that dust devil. Now make sure I stay away from it and wait to see what it's going to do. Kind of sneak over. Okay, he's gone now, and I can do my research. So here comes a meteor flying in there. That's one thing about playing this at 10x. Your meteors kind of, when you see a symbol, you better, if it's coming at you, you better move right now because you don't have much time. All right, so we're checking out now to see if we're going to get babies, and well, yes, we are. Everything looks good to have a baby pretty quickly, and we're only on day 16 of what is considered the hardest sponsor.
Breakthrough discovered.
And, looking pretty good here, in spite of my poor planning on food. So we just continue to research, analyze our anomalies and keep on keeping on. And we're about to hit the morning of the 17th day. And now our rocket's back, and we're going to load him up with the electronics that we need. What am I thinking here? Okay, definitely food. Definitely need food. So the rocket's on its way back
Sector scanned.
with a shipment of food.
Vehicle battery
We're
low.
working the hydroponics farm with who knows what. I don't even know what specialties are working. It's certainly not botanists.
Anomaly
They're doing the best
analyzed.
they can do. And we're about halfway into, it's a little afternoon, early afternoon on day 17. And you'll understand why I keep saying 17 here in just a moment.
For the first time,
There we go.
a human
We
has
just
been
had our
born on
first baby
Mars.
on day 17.
It's truly
so we
a
just
unique
did
miracle.
a quick start on Paradox Interactive using the Hydrogeologist and had a baby on day 17, and we've got food coming back. That was our only shortcoming. And so we have a good solid build here, a good solid foundation, and we can now take this build and go with it any way we want to in terms of expanding, building new domes, setting up education, setting up a retirement dome for our seniors, whatever we want to do next in order to move towards self-sufficiency. So I was very, very happy with that. To do it in 17 days with Paradox, I think in one rocket that requires 100 fuel. I'm extremely happy with that. I hope you can see the value in kind of focusing on this, and also the little thing we did a little bit different. We didn't think about our production or getting research or whatever. We thought about diners and grocers and infirmaries as our most important businesses. Throw in hydroponics, and you really got it covered. So I hope you got something out of this. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it'll help you become a better player, and I hope you'll join us for our next video. Thank you.